Give me all the keys.
Welcome back to the podcast. Let's just jump right into these keys. Why don't we? All right, today's key, as you can see on the screen, learn how to use Chatgpt. Now, there might be someone listening that doesn't even know what this is. I have to remind myself that not everyone knows what I know. Chatgpt is basically AI. And if you don't know what AI is, it's artificial intelligence. Duh. Learn how to use Chatgpt. Now, why might you think about incorporating this key into your life? Well, if you're a creative person, I kind of fancy myself a creative person sometimes. Chatgpt or any sort of AI is like a sounding board for ideas. I mean, if you're a person that likes to think up new ideas, whether that's for writing, if you need new ideas for a concept for a video, if you need new ideas for, you can use it for whatever you want, whatever you guys want to use it for, And ChatGPT is just such a useful thing to have on your phone. I've got it on my phone, which is recording, but what I've done recently is I actually replaced Safari on my bottom 4 apps on my iPhone. I replaced Safari with ChatGPT. And why would I do that? Because if I'm going to input something on a search engine and I usually want a specific answer, and the Safari is just it's like slow. It's like it'll always ask if it wants to know my location. And then when it loads, it's like, oh, you have all these links of what the answer somewhere in this, list of all these blue links. It's like, I just want a simple answer. So I find that the success rate of ChatGPT is 100% for the most part. If I'm putting in a simple question, it gives me a response that's usually right on par with what I need to know. It's always like pretty concise and relevant. The other thing about ChatGPT is you can tell it how you want to be talked to. So if I go to ChatGPT and I say, explain the concept of SEO to me and explain it in one sentence, it'll do that perfectly, and it's simplified. So I can tell it how I want to be talked to. If I'm brainstorming new ideas, like for example, this podcast, I asked ChatGPT to pose me a question for the podcast. And I said, hey, I want the podcast question to be relevant. I want it to be practical in my day-to-day life. And I don't want it to be too generic. And I want you to give me 5 examples of questions that I could possibly choose from. Boom. ChatGPT does this little thing, and it gives me what I'm searching for. So learn how to use ChatGPT, Hey, explain to me how candles work in 500 words. Explain to me the pros and cons of having scented candles in your podcast studio. Go. You can kind of amend how you want it to talk to you or the information that you want it to give. So I've been using ChatGPT for sure. I mean, why wouldn't you? I know there's people out there that hate on AI. You guys are idiots. If you're like resisting AI, oh, it's so inauthentic. Like, get used to it because it's going to infiltrate every sector of our society. It's AI. It's coming. So anyways, if you're not using ChatGPT, get on it, man. Just use it. All right. So today's shelf item, we've got a goodie today. Something very unique and different. So today we have this empty mug, and they do call these mugs. And this is from Spencer's Coffee. And shout out Spencer's, if you know, you know. It's a Bowling Green, Kentucky coffee shop chain. And what could we possibly be putting in this mug today? Well, I'll tell you. We're going to make a little concoction here of stuff that I just received from the mail, from the Amazon. And this is matcha. This is some matcha. Jade leaf, organic, original, premium barista crafted mix of matcha. Okay? Sounds pretty good. And then we're going to mix it with whatever's in here. And I don't even know what's in here, actually. What could it be? And as you can see, this is the first time we're laying our eyes on this. Boom! And I don't even know what that side says. Cordyceps. So here we have some real mushroom, 100% pure and organic cordyceps for peak performance. Organic mushroom extract, boy. Quality grown, no grain, no scratch, no fillers. And it's a dietary supplement, they call it. Cordyceps, if you don't know, I did a little bit of research on this. This is good for like your blood flow, your oxidization, tough word. It's good for circulation and blood flow, basically. So here we go. We got some water. I'll pour this into the mug, and not too much because we're going to stir it proper. And thank you guys for tapping in today to the keys. If it's your first time here, welcome. You are welcome here, and you are safe here. And whatever you're out there doing in the world, I hope you're doing it at a high level. So, all right, so we've got a scoop of the matcha, or matcha, some call it. And that's in there. And this is a sweet. This I've had for a couple days. This came in early, so I've actually tried this already. It's very good. It's a nice, sweet, light sweet balance. And they say that matcha has L-theanine in it. If you don't know about that, I'll put it on the screen. And then this, I just got this just now. You just saw me open it. So we're gonna see what this is all about. See if it makes any good sounds here. Yeah, that was a pretty good sound. And let's get a whiff of this just to see kind of what we're dealing with here. After all, it is mushrooms. Oh, it's actually really pleasant. It's kind of like a cacao smell. And I have a miniature spoon here. So here we go. Cordyceps into the mug. Bada bing. Bada boom. And the matcha has about 30 milligrams of caffeine. So it's got a little nice light boost it'll give you. All right. And then we're going to do it right, guys. We've got the whisk. The motorized whisker here. So let's get into it right here, and let's not spill any of this. Here we go. Oh. Well, I think that will do it. Okay. And like I said, longer podcast because that was a lot of work right there. That was 5 minutes on the shelf. And we're going to try this drink together. Thank you guys for being here. And cheers to the keys. Matcha, green tea, cordyceps. Here we go. That's nice. That is quite nice. Glad we did that. Okay. What's next on our format for today? Thank you guys for being here. The rule for today. Ooh, this is a weird one. The rule today is understand that it's normal to feel lonely, but it's not okay. Whew. Wow. So I've been conceptualizing my audiences a little bit more. You know, who is listening to this? The funny thing is I don't really know. You know, it's the internet. I don't know who's going to end up seeing what I create and post on it. So understand that it's pretty normal for you to feel lonely at some point in your life. Whatever you're doing. You might be in high school. You might be in middle school. You might be in your 40s and lonely. It's pretty normal to feel lonely at points in your life. It's helpful for you to know that it's not weird that you feel lonely. There's nothing wrong with you. It's actually pretty common. But it's not okay. You know, there's some people out there that will make loneliness kind of their whole personality. And people don't really notice these people because they're lonely and they're not around. So like, it's kind of you know, out of sight, out of mind, you know, but there's really lonely people in the world. And they're mainly at home and they don't really go out. They don't really have clubs or activities that they do. They maybe have a job, maybe not. Maybe they're living with their aunt in her basement and they don't work, and they're just lonely. They don't have people to talk to. They don't have anyone that's listening to them. That's probably the more important factor, is they don't have anyone that's listening to them. And so that's not okay. If you're lonely out there and you're listening to this podcast, it's not a good long-term strategy to just stay lonely. It's actually very important to human development and, personal development to have people in your life that you can interact with and they can give you feedback on how you're behaving. And I've had to have conversations with my friends recently, about how I've had to give them feedback on how I want to be dealt with. So like just having kind of the courage to say, hey, this is something that bothers me that I notice you do, and I'd rather you not do it. That feedback, that mutual discussion and dialogue is very useful for learning how to navigate life. And it's just kind of sad to me that there's people out there that are really lonely, that they don't have real human interactions. They don't talk to people. They don't express themselves. They don't know how to express themselves. And that's normal, but it's not okay. So, if you're lonely for too long, it's not good. You kind of waste away. You kind of miss out on all the adventure of life, of having good friendships. You miss out on the love and affection that comes from being in an intimate relationship. You miss out on, trips. It's harder to do trips alone. Trips alone aren't as fun. It's much better to be with a, group of people that you love and like. So I guess the rule is like, man, if you're in a lonely period in your life, realize that it's not sustainable, that you've got to make a change. And maybe you got to go out and join a pottery club, or maybe you got to go out and start going to the gym. Maybe you've got to start going rock climbing. You might have to just sign up at Walmart and greet some people. Real life interaction. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Walmart, Potato chips in the aisle 14 or whatever. So, yeah. I feel lonely. I have a new type of loneliness, I realized. I unlocked a new level of loneliness. That's a new statement that you've probably never heard. I've unlocked a new level of loneliness, and I really don't want this to come off arrogant, but I felt intellectually lonely sometimes. There's people that I'll be with in my day-to-day life, maybe not even day-to-day, but like a week-to-week basis, and I'll be with people and I'm intellectually lonely because there's certain things that I think about or certain things that concern me that I don't feel like there's people around me that will understand that, and I sometimes feel like there's not people that will be able to kind of add a new insight that I haven't already figured out. And that sounds arrogant. Let's just keep moving. Take a sip of this. I don't even know what to call this. Cordyceps? Matcha cordymatch? And that's something right there. Now that one, that sip tastes a little bit different actually than the first one. Oh well. All right, let's get into this quote of the day. You guys like quotes? Comparison is the thief of joy. I'll say it again for emphasis. Comparison is the thief of joy. Dang gone it. And that was a Theodore Roosevelt said that. And that's true. Comparison will steal away all your joy, I've noticed. Two things with music. If I start creating a song, the first time that I bounce it out to my iPhone to like play it back on my Beats pill or play it out on my car, the first time it's so exciting. It's like, wow, this is new. Wow, it sounds so cool. Wow, the pattern that this is a unique thing about music I've never done before. This is cool. The easiest way for me to start hating that song is for me to go back to the MacBook, do mixing, more editing, and then to bounce a new file out to my phone and then to listen back and start comparing it to the first thing that I listened to. I'll start comparing it to what I've already heard, and I start to not like it. It doesn't sound the way that it sounded the first time. It doesn't sound the way. And then if I take it a step further and I'm listening to my song, then I flip over to Spotify and I turn on, The Weeknd or Drake. If I listen to their song and then I swipe over and start playing my song, my song, dang, we got a long way to go. Dang it. That's kind of the mentality. It's like when you start comparing something to another thing, you kind of dilute its inherent value. You kind of take what's good about it as it is, and you just kind of fog it up. You kind of don't even see it for what it is because you start comparing it to this imaginary thing. You can only focus on one thing at once. So if you start comparing something that's good to something that you're imagining, it's just going to mess it all up. So comparison, it's that thief of joy, man. Golly, comparison will pop out from behind the corner and snatch your purse and run off with it. It'll take your joy and just see ya. And there's this guy. Oh, yeah. So this guy, I'm going to shout out John Mark Stevenson. I just found this guy, I think 2 days ago. Maybe yesterday. I think I found him yesterday. He popped up on my YouTube or my Instagram. I can't remember exactly. Probably Instagram. But he popped up and he was screaming. He was yelling at me on, I think it was an ad. I think it was an Instagram ad. He was driving in a car screaming. And I was like, I don't even remember what he said, but I remember the way it made me feel. And I was like, who is this guy? He said he was like 20. He was like, I'm 20 and I'm balling out of control and you're, a bitch. He was saying something like that. And I was like, who is this guy? I click on his thing. I get to his YouTube, and this guy is just an absolute animal. This guy is like Jocko Willink had a son with Andy Elliott. That's kind of this guy's whole, maybe throwing a little bit of Bear Grylls. I don't know. But if he's just an absolute animal. He's 20 years old and he's jacked. He's making what seems like a substantial amount of income. And it looks like he's pretty daggone smart too. Comes off as a meathead, he's pretty annoying, but actually if you listen to his stuff and you get past the kind of veneer and you watch a video where he's talking for long periods of time, you'll realize, oh dang, this guy's pretty smart. And it's intimidating. So that's what's, it's intimidating, and that's comparison. So I'm 28. I'm looking at this guy like, wow, how, I wasn't thinking that way at 19. I couldn't lift that much at 19. I didn't have any clientele at 19, and it just made me think like, what's he doing? And I was talking with my little brother about this guy, and, he actually texts me the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And he kind of called me out. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I am comparing myself to him. And then we kind of had a difference about, is that motivating or is that intimidating? And for me, it just feels like motivation. Like I like watching his stuff because it's motivating to me. It's like, it's just cool to see someone that's young surpass you in areas that you've worked so long and hard on, and it kind of can put things into perspective for me. But I could see how if I was about his age, I would just hate him, like freak this guy. Who's he think he is? He's, whatever. Because you're just too intimidated by him. You're too like, he's too good and he makes me look too bad. So I don't like that guy. So me and my little brother Aaron had a disagreement about that, but it's all good. Still love you. Real quick sidebar, if you guys are watching the video and you're liking it and getting something out of it, please go down right now and drop a like and leave a comment. It takes 2 seconds to leave a like, and it actually really helps small creators like myself get seen by more people through YouTube. I do my best to read every single comment that you guys leave, and I do what I can to respond to all of them as well. Now, back to the keys. Whoa, and that's gone. And that last bit of that is interesting. I feel like that was the cordyceps, because actually there was cordyceps. Loosen me up, I guess. That rhymed. Thank you guys for sticking around. This is going to be a good question, so stick around to the end. The question today is, why did you stop caring about external validation, and what changed when you did? Why did I stop caring about external validation? Validation's an interesting word. Validation, I don't even really know what that means, actually. Validity, validation, valid. External. So it says, why did you stop caring about external validation? Well, I have a problem with that, because I feel like I think I still do care about external validation, but maybe not in the sense that most people think of that word as. Like, I don't really care about external validation for the simple fact that I feel like I know myself pretty well, and I'm pretty content with who I am. I know I'm pretty flawed and imperfect, but at the same time, I'm pretty privy to what my goal is in life and where I'm heading. And I understand that on a deep, deep level. Obviously, it's myself. I know myself. So I don't really care, like, if someone, might have a surface level observation about what I'm doing or what I'm interested in, or their little, like, input and opinion won't really affect me, Now, I don't really think that's validation, though. External validity is another way to frame this. Why do you care about external validity? Yes, for sure. I definitely care about how valid what I'm putting out into the world is. I definitely care about if what I'm saying makes any sense or has any value or any effect on someone that's externally going to receive it. That's evident. That is self-evident, they call it. Like the way I communicate to people throughout my job, throughout my friendships, throughout my family. I definitely care what people have to say. I listen very intently to people usually, because I'm trying to figure out if they're saying something that I might not know. I'm actually really listening to that and for that. So I definitely care about external validation. It's like, I decided to put a shirt on for the podcast today, as I have on every other episode. Why? Well, I want you to externally, think that this is valid, that this is normal, that this is, like, acceptable. Like, I'm not doing the podcast with my shirt off, is what I'm saying, because the way that this is going to be externally received matters to me. So, yeah. So the question I have issues with, I guess, why did you stop caring about external validation, and what changed when you did? Well, I think this is framed in like a past tense, but actually, I do care about external validation. Question. Thank you. All right. Well, we drank the drink. We did the pod. And, yeah. Comment down below what you guys thought. Let me know if there was any keys or rules or questions or quotes that stood out to you. And yeah, like and subscribe, and I love you.